to this very important occasion. Mr. President, let me thank you on behalf of the people and government of Kenya for making this inaugural visit by a head of state, the first in the history of our two countries. Your Excellency, you have corrected an anomaly that has existed for close to 40 years, that Kenya and Angola share a rich history of engagement as Kenya was involved in the independence of your great country. Mr. President, you're coming to Kenya today and making this first ever state visit by a president of Angola is very well appreciated by the people of Kenya, and it marks a turning point in the relations between our two countries. I affirm, Mr. President, the cordial relations between our two countries, the extensive collaboration and bilateral bond of friendship between our two nations, and we consider your country as our most dependable strategic ally in our continent. This state visit, Mr. President, precedes a meeting of our officials for the first ever Joint Commission on Cooperation, which has accorded our two countries an opportunity to deliberate on issues of mutual interest and review the implementation status of bilateral instruments that will further strengthen the existing cooperation between our two countries. President Lorenzo had wanted to grace our Mashuda Day as our chief guest, but he did send his representative, the Foreign Minister Angola, Tete Antonio of Angola, at the national celebrations yesterday in Kericho. We reaffirm our commitment, Mr. President, to continue developing bilateral cooperation in trade, in investment, in agriculture, in forestry, capacity development in public service, in transport and communication, and in all the other sectors that has seen us today cement the relations between our countries and provide a wider and broader framework for the engagement between our two countries to go forward. We've just witnessed the signing of 11 bilateral legal instruments that will now underpin and provide a framework and a firm foundation for the growth of our bilateral relations, for the growth of our business relations, investment, and trade relations. Mr. President, all the MOUs that we have signed today on telecommunication and ICT, on oil and gas, mining and geology, health collaboration, capacity building in public service, and cooperation in our respective diplomatic academies, these frameworks will unlock the potential of our commerce, our trade, our government-to-government and people-to-people relations. President Lorenzo and I agree on the need to ensure improved people-to-people interaction. And the democratic credentials of Angola reflect the deep relations between our two countries and our common belief in the power of the people to run the affairs of their governments by electing leaders of their choice. We are very proud, Mr. President, of your re-election last year by an overwhelming endorsement by the people of Angola in a democratic, free and fair election, and you can count on Kenya as a partner in establishing our continent as a continent with democratic credentials, believe in the rule of law, and giving a chance to our people to decide their destiny, their progress, their development, and their government. We have had an extensive meeting with President Lorenzo, and we have agreed on many areas. I have briefed Mr. President on what Kenya is doing alongside our East African community partners in stabilizing Eastern DRC. I have also congratulated President Lorenzo for his not just participation but leadership in especially the mediation efforts between DRC and Rwanda, and the leadership under ICGLR on managing the affairs with us in Eastern DRC. We concur that the situation in DRC needs to be brought under control. We share common positions on encouraging the government in DRC to work with its people in finding the mechanism that will enable the people of DRC, especially in the eastern side of DRC, to engage in dialogue, in consultation, and we are prepared under the Nairobi process to work out a mechanism for dialogue and consultation to facilitate M23's cantonment after an agreement on what happens after the cantonment exercise. And we believe that it is an achievable aim to engage in consultation, stabilize eastern part of DRC, and allow the people of DRC in general to benefit from their progress, from their development, and from stability and progress in their region. We have discussed to expedite and conclude discussions on the resumption of direct flights between Kenya and Angola as a mechanism of boosting the movement of people, movement of goods, movement of services, as a way of escalating our trade numbers, which have improved significantly over the last 4 years. Our trade numbers have moved from 60 million 4 years ago to 350 million last year, and to the early part of this year. We believe that there is tremendous potential and scope for these trade numbers to go up into the billions. And we have undertaken that we will facilitate these exercises by making sure that they are not only bilateral agreements, we improve the connection between Angola and Kenya, and also working under the framework of the tripartite treaty, TFTA, and also the Africa Continental Free Trade Area to facilitate greater integration, movement of people, movement of goods, trade between our countries as we do it within the context of our continent. We have also agreed, and I have undertaken to my brother President Lorenzo, that our brothers and sisters in Angola, after the signing of the instrument today, all of them, with all passports, will now need no visa to come to Kenya. And I am very happy that His Excellency the President has agreed that Angola will equally consider the same when they go back home. And Mr. President, I think it's a very positive process that will enable our people to move with their ideas, with their businesses, so that we can create a greater interaction between our two countries. Your Excellency, I am truly grateful that you considered making this first ever trip by a visit, state visit, by a head of state from Angola to Kenya. I want to commit to you and to the people of Angola that in Kenya they have true friends and they have partners to work with for the progress of our two countries and for the progress of our continent. Mr. President, I also acknowledge that we suffer the consequences of climate change. And I want to thank you for sending your deputy for the Africa Climate Summit, which we held in Nairobi between the 4th and the 6th of last month, and that together we're going to formulate a common position as we go to COP28 in Dubai beginning next month to ensure that Africa makes its full contribution at this very crucial stage, especially in managing the effects of climate change that is ravaging our countries. Your Excellency, I am acutely aware that the trade numbers are in favor of Kenya. 96% of that trade is Kenyan goods finding its way to Angola. We will look at avenues that will balance this trade between our two countries, as I encourage business people, entrepreneurs in Kenya to continue working with their Angolan counterparts to enhance, increase, expand avenues of trade, investment and business between our two countries, so that in a very short while we will be reporting billions of trade between our two countries. Your Excellency, let me finish by thanking you once again for making this first visit to Kenya, and I look forward to working with you on many of the continental assignments, as I promise you, Mr. President, that you have Kenya's support as you seek the chairmanship of Africa Union in the year 2025-2026, because I have confidence in your leadership capabilities, and I believe you will bring a wealth of knowledge, understanding and experience to the leadership of our continent that me and you share in building its ability and capacity to take up its rightful place in the community of nations globally. Mr. President, thank you also for your consideration on Kenya's leadership in the multinational security support mission to Haiti that we will be undertaking on behalf of humanity to stabilize that country whose citizens are Africans like us. Again, Mr. President, thank you very much for your consideration, and welcome again to Kenya. Thank you very much. Your Excellency.
Thank you very much, President William Ruto. Thank you to the delegation present here and the press. I would like to say that